Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to uplifting conversations that set your heart on fire. Whether you're watching this live or in replay, know that we appreciate you. Hi, my name is Sarah Wade. I'm an agent of change, a lover of life, a mother, and I just celebrated Mother's Day and it was awesome. My co-host, Neil Thrussell, is joining us live from Canada. How are you going today, Neil?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And yeah, it was Mother's Day here too as well. Fancy that. And I didn't have the opportunity to spend it with my mother, as my mother has been deceased for 20 years, but it did give me the opportunity to appreciate my mother and all of all the gifts that she blessed me with while I had time, the 40 years I had time with her. So, and as Sarah said, my name is Neil Thrussell. I'm a life coach. I am an author, and I too am a lover of life.
Excellent. It's nice to have these big smiley faces, and thanks to the people who are joining us live. We appreciate you. If you love to join in the conversation, you know what to do. Get those fingers a tapping and join us. Ask us some questions. Hey, we were supposed to have Josh Hilbers with us today. However, there's been a scheduling issue. So Neil and I decided to carry on the conversation today. And we were curious if you've ever made a mistake. I have. You haven't, Neil?
No.
No.
Maybe a couple.
And did those mistakes now for you, like, I think mistakes can be interesting because you can stand back and look at it in the future and that mistake could have really changed your life for the better. Can you think of a time when that's happened for you?
Oh gosh, put on the spot. I'm like, but yes, we all have them, and I have them. And they can be as simple as choosing a route to work and not turning the radio on, and one day that there's an accident in front of you, and the next day there may not be. And it's just choices that we have. Choices can be on food, can be on whatever, like choices. Many North Americans are overweight, and it's not because of one meal and one sip of a beverage, but it's multiple poor choices or unhealthy choices that get him to obesity. And I am at times, personally, even though I've been in the personal growth industry for years, I'm guilty of not treating my body appropriately or making healthy choices. Have you?
I could relate. I used to make a lot more of them many years ago, and it's something that I certainly wasn't proud of then. However, I'm certainly proud of it now because I can see the changes that I've made in my life. And over the course of time, those little changes to those habits that are ingrained, that, those bad decisions that we've all made, those little differences can really add up to a lot over time. And there's so many times that I can think of that, I've been hit with the feather, that little, hey, are you ready to take the wake-up call, or the brick like smack in the face with, hey, there's a problem, it's time to pay attention, or even when that truck's come along and just absolutely pounded me, it's time to pay attention, Sarah.
And I don't know about you, but I know for me, when the universe, God, the world is trying to teach me a lesson, it's usually a light little tap and then a harder tap. And then it keeps increasing till it's the truck, smashing into something. And that's at times when I've paid attention. And sometimes, I don't know about you, but do you find yourself paying attention more to the feathers nowadays than you did in your exuberant youth? Or are you still wanting to hold out for those big thumps across the backside?
Oh, what a question. Do you know, sometimes the feathers elude me still. To be honest, sometimes those feathers elude me still. And it's not until I have someone pointed out that I realize, yeah, fair call. and then I'm able to see them. Yeah, these days, however, the feathers are more likely I'm able to spot them quicker. And I'm curious, like, if you guys can relate, let us know whether you're watching this live or replay. do you understand what we're talking about? You know, maybe it's not you, but maybe somebody you know has experienced this feather, the brick or the truck moment, and then suddenly like, oh, things have got to change. For me personally, I've personally got post-traumatic growth out of being hit by those metaphoric trucks, you know, and I was able to change that situation really around from a very nasty situation to that of lessons. And you know what, sometimes there wasn't even lessons, it was just about acceptance and love of myself, that I did make a poor decision, and instead of being really hard on myself like I would have, you know, over a decade ago, I was very, very hard on myself. These days I'm like, you know what, Sarah, it's okay, you know, you're human, you've made a mistake, you did your best, something's happened, words to that effect that suit that situation, and I move on. And I think that's a skill that not everyone has. Neil?
Yes, I agree. Because I think traditionally we've all been in what would classify, and most people classify, the victim mode, where things happen to us and it's nothing about I've done everything right and woe is me. And one of the joys and the privileges I've had in taking personal growth is to gradually and slowly over many, many years recognize that life happens for me and not to me. And it doesn't always work. It's still, in all these years, my 60 years of growth on this planet, I'm more times in life happening for me as opposed to me. And I believe my life is a much better place when I'm in the life happens for me phase in the emotional side of it as opposed to me. How is that for you?
Yeah, again, my journey would have changed about a decade ago, where everything happened to me and I was in woe is me and really pissed off and frustrated and not in a great space. These days, yes, as Neil said, I've done a lot of personal development myself, and I'm really proud to acknowledge those moments and be aware of them, because with that awareness, I can change. You know, for so long I was unconsciously incompetent. And gee, life changes when you're able to get a new point of view on some things. Like, I think that's just incredible to be able to shift in such ways.
I love the quote. Winnie the Pooh gets quoted for it, but also it's from Oscar Wilde. Life is far too serious to be taken seriously.
Oh,
Because we make it so serious, and yet when we add the fun gene, me personally, when I believe that we add the fun gene into our life and make even the mundane fun, or at least not boring or not a chore, and we start to enjoy whatever it is we're doing. Like, no one really likes to clean toilets, but if you smile and just give it your best, I suspect even the mundane can be at least pleasant.
yeah. This is reminding me of Mary Poppins, you know, just a spoonful of sugar. I'm not going to keep singing, but you know, it helps the medicine go down. And it wasn't until recently I got my car back. It's been away getting serviced and fixing my transmission. It wasn't until I just got it back and I heard that Mary Poppins song that I recognized. So we played Disney in the car. Surprisingly, I've got a 5-year-old, right? It wasn't until then that I realized, hey, Mary Poppins has actually infiltrated my life for the last 30 years. And that spoonful of sugar really does help that medicine to go down, you know, that fun that we can have. In fact, I was talking to a client recently whose mother has dementia. I think it's dementia. And they were off for a walk together. And she's nonverbal and unable to really to share what she wanted to do. And they're both walking along, and her mum's just straying off the path. And she's like, Mum, come back. What are you doing? And she just kept on straying off the path. And it wasn't until a bit of time later that she recognized she just wanted to kick the leaves and have fun whilst they walked. Like,
Yep,
how good is that to like listen to
yep,
the crinkle of the leaves under your feet and just
yep,
kick them and just enjoy that playful
yep.
moment?
Absolutely. And when you were singing, it made me think of our a previous guest, Ivan Lou. We'd all be singing spoonful, spoonful of sugar, because Ivan Lou teaches. We had him on, I
First
think it was
grade.
last year, and he was sharing that anyone can sing, and it's beautiful, beautiful soul, and we were singing on our program.
We were, yeah. It won't be the last time, I'm sure. In our house, we do things like, can you pass the salt? So welcome to the fun that is Uplift. If you've not watched us before, we do have some fun on this show and appreciate you joining us.
And absolutely, and it's like, so to me personally, I have to get out of my own way to make sure that I have fun. Like my ego, my thought processes said, I'm a X-year-old male. I need to do things this way, because society has helped program me, and I have willingly accepted the programming from society to say that a 60-year-old male doesn't do this. I need to be dignified.
And you end up with a cartwheel off the green out of the green room, like to finish the show every fortnight, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Hey,
Yeah.
we do stuff differently too. Like after school, we go play at the park, and my daughter and I, we love to go camping, as I know you know, Neil. And what she started doing with her friends is started making mai, which is a little teepee basically out of different sticks, and they put them together and they make a mai fire, which is awesome because my daughter's name is Maya, so she fully relates to it, and she gets all her friends out and they create these mai out of things that actually don't go on fire. And it's beautiful to see them play. And it's really intriguing for me as an adult to witness who of the parents jump in and play with it. Like, I go all in. I'm like, hey guys, can you go get me a crab? Hey, I'm thinking I'd like some swordfish. I send the kids out to go fishing with all sorts of things that basically using their imagination. And it's curious that the adults don't necessarily join in, or they come up to me and go, I just don't know how you do it. I'm like, I like to have fun too. And like Neil said, like, I'm not 60, I'm 40, but I do like to have fun. And I don't feel like I need to be pressured by society to stop having fun. I think many do.
And I think one of the great joys of children is they keep adults young, because to me, a great parent spends a great deal of time playing with their children, all ages, whether it be playing on the floor with them, playing cards, playing sports, playing. And then after a small break comes grandchildren, and then it gets the older adults to play again.
Yeah. There was an interesting show in Australia recently. They 4-year-olds home for old folks or something along those lines. So they literally had a bunch of 4-year-olds go into like an older person's home and got them connected. And it was really interesting because they did like the stats on the older people before, like how far they could walk with or without walkers, how
Yep,
engaged they were, all sorts of things. So they had this
yep,
baseline. And then at the end of it, they did this other test to see how they were. And by spending just a term with these young children, they had more confidence in themselves to walk without their walkers and were actually running. Like some of them were doing amazing things that they'd sort of cut themselves off from doing
yep,
because they've been placed in this old person's home and they were told society doesn't expect you to do anything except for die. You're
yep.
here to die. And what a horrible thing. So having that opportunity to play at that old age really made a difference in their lives. And it certainly has in mine. Neil, can you relate?
Absolutely. I have no children of my own, but I am the crazy uncle that is the one that I would go on all of the rides at the local fairs with my nephews and nieces. I was the one that would go and do the crazy biking with them. I was the one that would go and do all of the play with them. I would sooner spend time playing with them than than some of the adults. And then they knew if I retreated to the kitchen, Uncle was exhausted and he needed some downtime.
But the studies have shown that, you know, being playful actually helps your memory retention, your decision making skills, and so much more. So, like, if you are struggling, you know, maybe you're feeling a bit tired or you're unable to make choice decisions, maybe go have a play. Go find someone to pick up a pretend ball with, and I don't know, maybe throw it to each other, and perhaps maybe just maybe you can drop it. Drop the imaginary ball and see what fun can come. It's a wonderful game. If you haven't yet, I highly recommend that you play.
Absolutely. Yeah, because as Oscar Wilde say, life is too short. Well, to not have fun. It's life to me is meant to be enjoyed. Yes, I recognize that there's hardships and there's um, terrible things that can happen to people in their health, but we still need to. When my mother passed, we all, my family, we went and took our coffee into the viewing, and anyone that came to the viewing, we all told jokes that would make my mother turn over in the casket next to us, because it was about reliving and being connected with my mom, and my family likes to laugh and tease and poke fun, and that's exactly what we did.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah.
My dad had a I'm not dead yet wake. So he was dying from pancreatic cancer for some time and knew his end was coming. So people flew from all around the world to celebrate his life while he was still alive. And I think it's really important that you do reach out and spend that time with people whilst you're alive, and honor those feelings. I don't know about you, but I've been to funerals before and I've learned about other people. Have you?
Yeah, and the 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 tragedy is sometimes the coolest things I've learned about these person, and I'm like, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think would be one of those things, like coming to your I'm not dead yet wake, or maybe at your wake, that people would look back at your life and those conversations or those moments in history shared with you, Neil, that they would be sharing with others?
Oh, I I was a photographer. I had some of my works on billboards. Been published in a magazine. Some of my work's been published in a magazine. I specialized in taking pictures of half naked women, and like some of my people on the even on this show were going, "What?"
And it takes someone special to do stuff like that, you know, to feel comfortable to get naked in front of somebody who's taking photos of you. That takes a lot. And I think that, you know, the fact that you were able to do it for such a long time speaks volumes about you now.
One of the most proud things as a photographer I ever did in black and white, when you create a really hard shadows and high, it's called low key light. So when I can put put half the face in shadow and half the face you see, this woman burnt her face on one half. So I did a low key lighting on half her body, and I didn't even, and then so back in the days with film, so I took this image, and when I saw it, I just said, I need to make this. Didn't even ask permission. I blew it up to 2 feet by 3 feet. I paid for it, and if she didn't want it, I didn't care. I quickly put it in a frame, and she walked into the studio and she didn't say a thing. And I'm going to get emotional. She burst into tears because it was the first time in 30 years. It was her 50th birthday present to herself that she saw herself as beautiful.
Oh,
And to me, that was one of those moments that comes so infrequently in people's lives, where you know that you have made an impact in somebody's life. And she just, like, she wept for 10, not, she'd weep, and then she'd regain herself, and she'd look back at some of the other pictures she wanted to buy. She'd look up at the other and just start to cry again. It was beautiful. I will admit I cried too.
Oh, what a heartwarming moment. And
Yeah.
I know recently, I had a photo shoot and I was playing with shadow and duality in my photo shoot. And some of the images were like, I expected to share some and not others. And I was really quite surprised, which I felt comfortable sharing. And I thought, no, this one's actually for me alone. And this is going on my bedroom wall. Compared to others that I was able to, I can show this. And I'm finding it interesting what people do choose to share about themselves. What have you noticed from that time when you were a photographer, that what people wanted to share compared to now as a coach, what people do share with you?
Beautiful question. People, because we've put so much, society has put so much emphasis, especially for women, on looks, that they have this false notion of what beauty looks like. And when I, as a photographer, am able to show, no matter the body type, that they are beautiful, they're willing to share that with people that care about them. It's like, it's just so heartwarming to see when they become proud of who they are and they carry themselves differently. And yeah, and with society right now, we're relearning and we're taking ourselves deeper. The people in friendships and conversations, we're willing to go deeper. And you?
Oh, look, I spent a lot of my adult working life working with people with trauma. And, as an art lover, I like to go in and find new things slightly different to that of the general population, and to look at people who've had things like breast cancer and they've had a mastectomy, and there they are, super proud of themselves and just being just in the moment and just being in general, and just seeing their confidence and as it exudes through the camera. And one of the most powerful series that I came across was of women who'd had a bunch of tattoos. Some had completely covered their mastectomy. Some were really just, here it is, but I'm supporting it. I'm not covering it up. And I think it's a beautiful thing when we look at our scars in new and unique ways and celebrate our flaws. I think it's
absolutely, because I don't know about you, but I'm not perfect. Like when I was growing up, I was 6 foot tall, 6'2" tall, and 140 pounds. You could count my ribs when I was in high school. You could physically count my ribs because I was so skinny and I was so self-conscious about it. And I was a natural athlete, but I didn't want to participate because people would make fun of me, because now it's like, but back then it was very traumatic because I could eat a buffet every meal and not put on an ounce.
I used to have that, then my metabolism caught up with me. I like you, I was a very skinny human in high school, and I had some amazing spouts of, I'm taller than you, and a lot of people were concerned that I was anorexic. I ate a lot of food. I certainly wasn't. However, later in life, I did develop eating disorders. And it was curious because when I had the eating disorders, I looked somewhat like I do now. Like I wasn't too overweight. I wasn't too skinny. And it's times like these that people can overlook, because you assume maybe that the obese person, they've got an overeating problem. I know people who are technically obese but are living on rabbit food, and people who are very skinny who are struggling with their weight, with body dysmorphia or all sorts of other issues. And I've been both sides of the chain. My weight has fluctuated as an adult by about 40 kilos, and that's part of my journey. I'm really happy with who I am now. So happy that, as I mentioned before, I had that photo shoot and most of it was nude. And it was so nice to celebrate my meanness, because I have had a journey and I'm here right now, being me. And I'm so, so proud of myself. I think I'm the most proud of myself of all my 40 years, right here, right now. Neil, would you say that you're the most proud of yourself right now or at a previous time?
When I was 40, I was the most proud because I was at the best. When I was 50, I was at the most proud. But in this current evolution of me, I'm once again the most proud because it's who I am, and it's my spiritual journey and the journey I've taken, that I've learned that I can only be me. I cannot be Sarah. I cannot be Tom. I can only be me. And life is less complicated when I just accept me for my isms and my me-isms, and that if I don't like something and I am able to change it, then it's up to me to change it. And if I choose not to change it, then it's still up to me. So yeah, I am in a comfortable place of really liking and loving who this version of Neil is at this point in time.
Perfect.
Mm.
I love that. I think that so many people don't have that confidence within themselves. A lot of people who come to me as their coach or agent of change or therapist, depending on which person you're coming to, a lot of people forget that it's okay to be them and have this imposter syndrome going on, or they've got comparison-itis going on. There's so many things that can get in the way of us shining.
Absolutely. And as a life coach, I would wish that I never had to work on any of those ever again, because everybody is healthy and whole and happy. And I could just write books. But I'm also love that I am able to help, and you're able to help with your Evolve program, that you're able to, your life lessons have shown you, and the path that you've taken to become the best version of yourself through the school of bricks to the head and hit by moving trucks, and that and the schooling that you've taken has gotten you to the point where you're qualified to share and help people uncover their inner truth. And I love that.
Thank you.
So since I said the word evolve, why don't you share with our audience, whether it's on replay or live or wherever, a little snippet about evolve?
I think Evolve is different for everybody depending on where they are in their life's journey. A lot of people probably haven't played with Play-Doh for some time. So when we all start out and I ask everyone to get their Play-Doh in the group sessions, most people are a bit confused and why am I doing this? And that is perfect, as I like to say, because you're doing something different. And through the Evolve program, you're able to get your thoughts out, externalize your stuff through what I call this golden thread between your mind and your hand. You're able to get your stuff out to see it in a new light. I kind of relate it to like that. Have you ever done your shirt up, the button-up shirts? And, you're in a hurry and you look down and you're like, oh, well, the buttons are a little bit askew because you did that first button up wrong. So in Evolve, we sort of strip the shirt back and readjust and look dapper again and get all our buttons in a row. So it's a beautiful opportunity to use symbols and to externalize your story so that you see things in a new light. And I absolutely love and relish witnessing the beautiful transformations that people have, their journey shared is so beautiful, Neil. And it brings me tingles to be able to help people and witness their changes and acceptance of self, and really to celebrate them throughout different parts of their evolution to where they are here today. And even, we get Doctor Who's timey-wimey device out and travel through time and space, which is so much fun. So that when you're faced with opportunities and decisions, that you can actually go, what, I've already practiced this with Sarah. I thought, okay, if I'm going down this path, these are the options. If this happens and it splits up, then these are my options. And it makes a lot of sense, because when you're a bit overwhelmed or you're in a space of, I just don't know, already having seen it taken place means you know what can happen, which brings you that confidence, right? Think beauty.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you talked about the shirt S.T.U.D. One of my teachers and mentors had us for a week, and only a week, put your pants on with the opposite leg that you would normally. It is the weirdest sensation. So if you normally put on a pair of trousers or pants and you put your right leg in first, when you put your trousers on, put your left foot in first, and just see it. For me, it was just it just felt so wrong.
A creature of habit.
Absolutely.
I don't have that.
Yeah.
I don't have a left foot first or a right foot first. It wouldn't have hit me the same as it hits you. And I think that's important to note, that we're all different. It would have been something completely different for me, and I'm trying to think what that is. And I'll have a think about that while you continue now.
Yeah. Or I'm a right-handed toothbrusher.
Yeah.
It's almost dangerous for me personally to use my left hand into the eyes, kind of thing. It's a combat sport with my left hand.
It's a complex sport. Really? Hey, if you can relate to the complex sport and you've used your left hand instead of your right hand, or your right hand instead of your left hand, maybe it was brushing your hair or your teeth, or even writing, let us know. I've personally done that a lot because I like to enhance the connections between both sides of my brain. I have struggled with memory problems in the past, and by doing things differently, you're able to tap into amazing parts of your brain that do wonderful things. In fact, I spent quite a while brushing my hair with my left hand. I've obviously got dreadlocks now. However, brushing my hair with the left hand was interesting. So too, writing my name with my left hand, or just writing notes. I think it's a thing of beauty to be able to use both hands at once. In fact, I've got this next to me right now. This is a two-handed image, and you can do things with two hands at once. It doesn't have to make sense. However, it felt really amazing for me. In fact, I did that with one of my coaches last week, just to stop thinking so much. I find personally, if I'm distracted with my hands, that I can really get to below the Band-Aid stuff, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. And I love what you said. So if you're to our listeners and our viewers, no matter when you're listening or viewing this, Sarah said, and it's beautiful, she was working with her coach. So whether you work with Sarah or I, always look for a coach or someone that's working that you want to work with that's got a coach. Don't take someone that believes that they have solved all the world's problems and they don't need to be a coach. Because if you do, you've probably not got the right person. Everyone needs a coach. And it's a removal of ego when a coach says, hey, I'm working, because I'm a work in progress too. So good job, Sarah, for still having a coach. The other thing that you said is, as a writer and an author, I don't very often write longhand with a pen and paper in that. But one of the most profound exercises is writing with your opposite hand, and try to continue with a story and just freehand write, because the story comes from another part of your brain, and this story takes on a whole new concept. Because when you write with your dominant hand, it meant for most people, they're right-handed, it's very structured, it's very process-oriented. When you go to your left hand, all of a sudden there's a chicken with a pig head on it, and you're on another planet, and you've got fairy dust and glitter, and you were initially started writing a spy novel.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting too to have a conversation. You can have a conversation with yourself, whether you use your left hand or and your right hand, like talking, like sock puppet sort of styles, or if you just pick up the pen and you move your pen from one hand to the other, and you can ask your non-dominant hand questions, ones that your conscious side may or may not be aware of. And going back and forth between the conscious and subconscious is a beautiful thing to witness, and it's a beautiful thing to experience. If you haven't yet, I highly recommend you ask yourself that question. I wonder what that question could be, Neil.
Yeah. And for the price of admission in today's program, Sarah just gave you incredible gold and to help you with a thought process. It's like, hello, Andy. It's wonderful to have you on our show today.
Yeah, lovely to have you join us, Andy. And I'm curious, have you ever done anything like that? Have you ever used both your hands at once? Love to learn. Hey, Neil,
Only
you
at
know,
buffets.
you're gonna get the cookies in, is that you? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
I've had cookies in both hands.
You and Cookie Monster?
Yeah. And we were talking in prior to the show in the green room, and I was sharing with Sarah how I love a blank piece of paper. As a writer, a blank piece of paper or a blank screen in your Word document, whatever you use to write on there, your notepad. I absolutely love the blank screen, because to me, or the blank page, because it represents unlimited possibilities, new beginnings, or the just magic. That magic is about to happen and you don't know what's going to occur. And as for Sarah, as an artist, and she's staring at the canvas, it's not till she puts a pastel to it, a blob of something, till something touches that canvas, or that's the moment of the first creation. And that's to me is such a beautiful, oh yeah, it's such a beautiful, that's the moment that you're actually starting the creative process. You've made a choice. For me, it's the first letter that I put on a page starts whatever is going to show up. I may not like it, I may judge it that it's poor or whatever, but it's the creative. And it's just, to me, that's some of the most exciting. It's like, this is it. I'm now a writer. The first letter, I'm a writer.
Nice work. Nice work. I think from my perspective, I see a lot of people struggling with that blank piece of paper. Now, I don't want to get it wrong, that making that first mark, and one of the first things I do is to ask people just to randomly just do a quick line, and we're going to get back to that later, put it off to the side. And what happens is when they come to it later, they're like, it's already marked. It's already got somewhere to go, and they can see something in it immediately. And interesting, like Neil was saying before the show, imagine if every time you drew a line, if you try to go back over it with the eraser and do it better, and he was saying, maybe Neil, you want to share your story.
That sometimes as I'm teaching writing, people will write one sentence, 6, 8, 10 words, and want to redo it and then continue on with the story. So I said to Sarah, could you imagine doing a painting, a pencil drawing, and rewriting every single thing? It was like, it would be a smudge drawing. It'd be like one of those ones. But yeah, and yeah, the creative process, we just need to, for me, allow ourselves to be vulnerable and make mistakes and just go.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love mistakes these days. I've got a 5-year-old and I love when she makes mistakes too. I love the lessons that she gets and I don't interject because I don't want to put my model of the world onto her. And I love her share. She's like, Mommy, I made the best mistake today. I'm like, yeah, you did. It was an epic mistake. And I think it's amazing to be able to celebrate our so-called mistakes because without making mistakes, we're really staying in that same spot and we're not learning. She's learning to ride a bike. If she didn't make a mistake, she wouldn't actually ride the bike. She'd just keep falling off it and stay stuck, right?
Absolutely. And well, think about it as a baby. How many times do you witness a baby falling
Just once.
before they learn to walk? As in, yes, an adult, if we were learning to walk, we'd fall in our little padded pants and we'd go, I'm not walking. I can hire someone to do that for me.
Yeah. I actually had to learn how to walk again as an adult. My back was fused and ended up in hospital for a little bit of time with some metal and all sorts of things poking out of my back and had to learn how to walk again. And as an adult, it takes a lot out of you to learn how to do a basic thing. And I know that, Neil, you can relate with your healing of your memory.
Absolutely. And yes, it's tiring. But for me, the big goal kept me moving forward. And like a toddler or a baby trying to walk, there's always something that they're like this trying to get to. There's always that reward. And we may not know what it is. It could be the little something just out of their reach that they're moving towards. Could be their mother or father going, come on. And
But
for me,
where are these adults that their friends saying, come on. I believe if you don't have someone in your life spurring you on, maybe just look around and see which one of your friends you could call so that you could make room for someone who does spur you on. Neil?
yeah, I think we all need community. And so we need to choose our community wisely. Because if you could choose someone to support you or choose someone to put you down, I'm hoping you would choose the community that's going to support you. And I think there's many times that in our friends, as we need to evolve and mold with our friends so that they become the supportive ones. Yes, they can call a spade and say, hey, you need to pick up your act, but they don't always have to do that. I know I like a little support every once in a while. Hey, job well done, Neil. I don't know what is your love language, Sarah, but mine, words of affirmation, are way at the very bottom, but it's still nice to have a team to come with me when I ran a marathon, to have a cheering section at the very end going, job well done. Made my little, there was dust in the air. There my eyes were watering.
What a beautiful thing to have people support you. And I love that. And, I was there in spirit cheering you on. And the fact that people could be there live, that's a wonderful thing. And not so many people will actually go out of their way to be there live to support you to do the thing.
And if I could ask anything of our viewers and listeners, to be that person, to be that cheerleader for another, for yourself first and foremost. Be your biggest cheerleader, be your biggest fan, but be there from a place of love and compassion for the people that you care about, and eventually it rubs off and your circle gets bigger and bigger and it trickles down to your community, your town, your city, the world, and that. But for now, be there for your friends and for those people that you love. Be that person, that cheerleader for everyone.
Yeah, we all need a cheerleader, don't we? And I think if we're not our own biggest cheerleader, it's only get someone to help us cheer us on. Or do something worth cheering on, making those changes to cheer yourself on, or to have others cheer you on. I know that, I've tried writing over time, and I'm pretty good at starting things, and I'm working on finishing a lot of things. However, I know that as an author and a best-selling author at that, Neil, that you've probably started a few books and finished them.
I have started more books than I have finished, but I have finished a lot of books because there's just some things, like I know as an author, there's some storylines that they're exciting to work on, and then they're not complete as a novel, but they're complete as an idea and a concept. It's like some paintings, you can put 2 or 3 lines on it, and it may not be a Rembrandt or Picasso or that, but it's complete. It's just complete. And and you may pick it up later on. But as an author, the storyline is complete. But as a novel, you're left, what's the next part? So I have many, not incomplete, but I have many that I could go back to. But I have also got many works that I've completed. And it's just like, oh, yeah, love me.
I love that you love yourself too. That's fantastic. And I think, as a spiritual author, we don't have that many people that we can look out for to support us. And I appreciate the fact that you've sort of changed your line of thinking and who you'd be helping now.
Absolutely. And recently I just posted, I'm going to go. I just posted on my blog. Here, we'll do some fixing here. On my blog, I talk about the spiritual fiction genre, because there's spiritual fiction is a very small, minute genre, and spiritual fiction is about discovering that there's a bigger purpose in the world and around you, and it's the sharing of the discovery of the changes and growth in a person as they discover that there's more to the world than just yourself, and there's more philosophical conversations to be had. So I recently wrote on the spiritual fiction genre, and that I'm posting tomorrow 10 of my favorite spiritual fiction books, because I realized that I want to actively promote spiritual fiction writing.
Nice.
And in order to do that, I need to give some quality examples besides my work, so that it's not a pure egocentric or ego-driven piece of work, that there's so many good authors out there that I want to share that with everyone.
I'm curious, if you're watching this live or in replay, who your favorite authors are. I've had a few over the years, and certainly Enid Blyton has left an amazing mark on my life. Neil, who's your favorite author?
My first and foremost would be Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist, The Pilgrimage. Then Dan Millman, Spiritual Warrior. And I don't remember, they just come, The Shack, which is, I forget his name. Just, they come easily. There's so few, and they come free. Robin Sharma, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
Nice books there, and amazing authors who can truly take you away to a spectacular place. And I think that's the joy of learning how to read, is that we can choose to, put those symbols together and create a picture in our mind's eye. And from that, we can choose which direction we go, like whether that be, a happy one or one that gets you thinking and feeling. And Andy has just shared.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to let you pronounce that one, Neil.
Umberto
Eco. And you're going to have to send me a DM later how to pronounce this. The Name of the Rose and the Foucault's Pendulum. You can laugh at me all you want.
I have not heard of these, but Andy, we got some Googling and Amazon searching going on here.
Appreciate it. He's Italian, he said. Yeah. All right.
Okay,
Well, yeah, like I said,
we
I'm
had an
waiting.
Italian on just a couple weeks ago. What's it? This is Italian month. That's
I mean, it was
wonderful.
pretty funny Italian,
Yeah,
Alessandro.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and he said you've got some reading to do. I think this is a little
Oh, this is good. Absolutely. I Part of spiritual fiction in the genre and spirituality is learning from other um, other authors, other genres, other modalities. It's like writing, art, the painting, drawing, and music is intended, when it's done well, takes a person on a journey. And if the artist has done their job, no matter what the medium is, when you feel like it draws you in, to me, that's when it's mastery. Is when whoever the artist is drawing you in. It's wonderful. Uh-oh.
absolutely.
Hey, we even had our friend Gavin on a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so Gavin, was actually talking about mastery, pointed out how to actually pronounce. Appreciate you, Gavin. Appreciate Foucault.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
This 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 is all good. Yeah.
I'm reading at the moment a Joe Dispenza book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which is an interesting book that I've only just gotten into, but I highly recommend the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. Have you guys been reading any Joe Dispenza stuff? I see Gavin has been. Beautiful. I think he's an amazing person who can help you to see things in a new light. Personally, I believed the medical system for way too long that I wasn't going to heal. Life can change when you just open up that world of infinite possibilities. And how Neil said before, with that blank piece of paper, there are so many ways you can take it. Assume the same with yourself. Imagine how life can change for you.
Imagine, from a place of childlike wonderment, that every day we treated our life from a place of the blank piece of paper, that we left all of our baggage behind, and we still had all of our skill sets and our ability to survive in the world, but all of our life baggage was left behind. Could you imagine? It would be scary for many what life would be like and what would feel like.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it would be scary for many because they've always assumed the position of being one way or another. And to remove that, like, who am I? That's a huge question.
Yeah. And it's because I think we're programmed to be in the duality of life, up, down, left, right, yin, yang. And yet spirituality and understanding who we are is removing the duality and becoming the oneness.
Yeah, absolutely. Or it could be embracing duality and being okay with more than one answer.
Absolutely.
Yes, but no.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Excuse me.
Mm.
I think we've got so many opportunities available to us, like whether we are writing our book or reading a book of someone else or absorbing information through social media or our society. It's completely up to us, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
To a point though, like if I was say raised in Syria right now, I think maybe I'd be thinking I wish that I was brought up in a new country. However, I wasn't. I was very privileged to be brought up in Australia. And in fact, my daughter had someone recently who's a refugee, and she was explaining, he's got a burn on his face and he's come to Australia and had quite a horrific story to share. But what a gift that was for her and her whole class to see how privileged they are. And I
Absolutely.
wonder how you feel privileged if you look at the world around you.
Absolutely. I know, in spite of all of what I believe are my hardships and my horror stories, and that I recognize that as a reasonably healthy person that has access to food and water and shelter, I am I am well above many people right now. And so I believe it's within my heart to open up and to share my gifts and talents and treasures to those that need my help, who and however that shows up.
Mm, absolutely. So who will you show up as tomorrow when you wake up? Will you show up as the same Neil right here, right now, or will there be any slight differences? And I'm asking you at home too. Who will you show up as tomorrow?
Beautiful question. And the egoic person that's Neil, thinks and wants to say, I hope I am a better and trust that I am a better version of myself um, than I was today. So tomorrow I will be even a better version. But I also know that life gives me obstacles. So all I can do is have the faith that I will be a better version and I will just adapt to whatever life throws me. And yourself?
Ah, tomorrow I'm going to wake up with a smile on my face. And I imagine that I'm going to wake up with a little bit of ouchiness factor. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and stretch. And I'm going to do all the right things for me, for my body, to improve my life. Because, like you, Neil, I'm on a search for never an ending improvement. And it's not in a negative kind of way, like I'm not good enough. I'm proud to continue my journey of improvement. I'm proud of the person that I was yesterday and who I am today. And I don't take any negativity like others do about continuing my growth. That's part of my journey.
Mm,
And we all have
absolutely.
different journeys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys,
And
we are getting to the end of the Uplift show for today. It's been almost a whole hour. And I'm curious now, you got any final thoughts?
I would like to go back to what I previously said.
Hmm.
They and leave our viewers and listeners with, be that person, the cheerleader for yourself first and foremost, and that cheerleader for others, and be that uplifting person, authentic uplift person, to help raise the vibration of your friends and your family, and be there for the people. Be that person that they can count on, but only from a place, authentic place of love and support. Don't fake it. If you're not feeling it, don't do it. But I encourage you to be that person, to love and support people.
I love that. Yeah, what a beautiful gift that you could bring not only yourself but others by doing that. Ah, yes. And I second that. I think, if by being ourselves that we irritate others, that's on them. I'm the best me I can be. And it's okay if I bother you with my silliness. I'm having fun. Recently I had someone quite negative on one of my feeds, like, just grow up. And I thought, that's okay if you don't want to have fun and wear a smile a lot and laugh and be silly. Make better decisions and really enjoy life. That's okay. I do. I'm quite happy to be silly, and I invite you to do whatever you choose and really design the life you desire, because it's your life, right? It's no one else's. You do you. Be you. Smile and enjoy many more conversations that truly set your heart on fire and connect you with others in the best of possible ways. Until we see each other next time, take care.
Adios.